Hey guys, welcome back. This is Crystal Thompson with a Unity Stamp Company project. Today we're making a peekaboo vellum card. I can't wait to show you this really fun technique. We are using the beautiful happy moments, and it's an array of these flowers in a jar, and we're actually only going to use the flowers. So as you can see, it is not fully on our block. Then for the sentiment, we're using the happy birthday. May it be filled with happy moments. For our ink color coordinations today, we are using some Altenew markers. These are just alcohol-based markers, and this is going to color our flowers. We're using a red, a blue, a darker blue, the green for the leaves, and this is very light peachy color. This is called blush, and so we're going to blend all of these with those gorgeous flowers. Our sentiment's going to be stamped out of this rockin' red because of that beautiful red. Then let me show you the rest of the supplies. You're going to need some watermark ink along with some clear embossing powder. You're going to need your card base ready to go, and I have a circle die that's going to cut just a clean circle, and so we're going to be using that. And then for our window, we're going to be using a piece of vellum. So we are going to begin by cutting the circle out of the card base, and this is a 5.5 by 4 1/4, and so we're going to cut this from the cardstock, and then we're going to cut it again from the vellum, and then we are moving on to the next step. All right, so we've cut that circle out of that card base, and then I have my piece of the vellum. So what we're going to do, we're going to add this window first before we move on to any stamping. So I'm going to add some adhesive all the way through of this circle. And this is not a shaker card, so it's not imperative that it's completely sealed with adhesive. It'll just be, it's just a vellum window. So we have this beautiful vellum window ready to go. So now we're going to proceed to stamping the inner part. So I'm going to grab my flowers from the Happy Moment stamp set, and I'm going to place them down and kind of really gauge where I'm placing them. And the reason why is that because you can kind of see, we don't actually have to bring in our MISTI. You can if you want to get perfect placement, but I'm just fine with winging it. So I'm going to ink up my stamp pretty well with this black ink that I got going on here. And so before I place it down, I do want the majority of that flower to be in that window. So I'm pretty happy with that placement. I'm going to press down. I'm going to hold it for just a couple seconds, allow that cardstock to really soak up that color, and we will not be using this black anymore. So we'll set it off to the side. And what do we got? We have this beautiful image. So when you close your window, you really get to see it. So now we're going to move on to this part. So I'm going to grab a baby wipe here, and I'm going to clean this up because now we're going to heat emboss in clear ink for this image. So what this is going to do is going to keep our color of our markers within that image, and then it's just going to give it a little glimmer since we're using clear ink. So I have my embossing watermark ink. We're going to really ink that up. And the beauty of this is that when you close this down, you can kind of get an outline, and it doesn't have to be perfect, really. So this stamp is just particularly really pretty, and I felt that I could easily line this stuff up. As you can see, we're going to hold that down. We're going to press, press, press. So now you have that same image, and it's actually quite mirrored. And again, very easy technique. You don't have to get a MISTI out or a stamp positioner to do this. I'm going to try to keep the powder strictly on the image that I'm going to heat emboss. And if you end up getting some out on the outer part of the card, you can simply wipe it up, and that way it doesn't heat set. And then when you're happy with that, we're going to bring in our heat gun. And we're going to heat it from the top. And you will see that it starts getting shiny, and that means it's completely cured. And vellum does tend to kind of move that heat. I don't know what the correct word would be, transfer heat. So you don't have to keep it in one place. It kind of ends up curing the whole thing. So there we go. Very, very easy to create. Now you have this window, and now we can begin coloring. All right, so the heat embossing has cooled off a little bit. We're going to bring in our alcohol markers, and like I mentioned, you can use whatever you like If you have Copics or just, you know, your basic Crayola, that works too. So essentially you're just doing a heat embossed on this, except you're using clear ink. And so very rough coloring, not a ton of blending. We're going to add that. Vellum doesn't soak up anything. It kind of just sits. And so that is why we're using alcohol markers as opposed to a water-based marker. So I've added my base out of this blush color. We're going to come in with the ruby red and we're going to add shadow. So we're simply just going to bring that up and add those beautiful shadows. And I know you're going, what in the world? I promise it's going to look really fun once we're done. So we're going to come back with our blush and then we're just going to grab that, and then what it's going to do, it's going to dilute it, and it starts looking a bit like watercoloring. You don't have to work quite as quickly as you would as if you were working on cardstock with alcohol markers, because it doesn't soak it in. It just sits right on the surface of it. And so by every brush stroke of your marker just gives it more of a petal look, don't you think? So we're going to do this all the way through. And you can kind of see the clear of the petals, and so you really want to try to stay within that clear area. All right, so that's done. I'm going to move on to my green. So this is the Forest Glades. And of course I have some just very basic leaves here. And if you kind of get lost, you can even fold it over and see where you're going with this. So we know we could come back and add here. And that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to bring back this ruby red. We're going to add a second shadow. And then we're going to grab that blush and bring it all the way out. And it's just a really pretty card. I think it gives it a bit of look of a fancy look, as you can see here with the vellum. And then we're going to add a little bit of blue and that lighter blue in the inner part of this. So I'm just going to do 2 little drops. And we're going to grab this, what is this one called? Dusk. So this would be another great technique if you have inexpensive alcohol markers that you bought and you're like, I don't love them for coloring detailed images. This would be another good project to make. I'm going to add just a couple little circles just to give it a little dimension. And so there you have it. And so when you open it, you have this beautiful image and you can write the message that you're seeking. Now we're going to move on to the sentiment. So we're going to set that aside, let it dry for just a little bit. I have my strip ready to go, and this is going to say happy birthday. I'm going to make sure it fits. Sure does. We're going to ink it up. And again, just trying to color coordinate what I got going on here. We're going to press down. Going to hold it for just a couple seconds to allow that cardstock to really soak up that color or that ink. There we have it. So then we're going to come back. We're going to add 2 pieces of foam. So I have my foam tape ready to go. Going to pull, we're going to cut, we're going to pull the back, and we're going to fold. And that's going to give you a double layer. Very, very easy, and you don't have to have a million different types of rolls to try to justify the thickness of it. And then depending where you want it, do you want to do cover the flowers, you want to kind of have it up here. But I love the comparison and contrast of a rectangle with that circle. And then I do have another little strip, so we're going to DIY ourselves a little ribbon, and we're going to use the colors included in this card. So we're going to grab, I'm going to protect my surface, especially because alcohol markers can be a little bit tough to clean. And so simply we're going to just create a very pretty ribbon of this red, and it's all just going to match very nicely, and you can come in and add more different colors if you want. I think I'm gonna do this blue. Oh, wrong tip. And so this is just really gonna just again coordinate everything we got going on. It's a fun way to use all your supplies, and if you're looking for a special card and you just can't find it, even though we got bright colors, it really softens the whole thing. So we're gonna add foam adhesive to this one too, and this one's gonna kind of sit down here, but we're gonna hide it. So we're just gonna add the one layer of foam, and then we'll trim any of the excess off the edge of the card. So we're gonna add it to the tip because that's where the little ribbon that I've created. And guys, this is normal Neenah cardstock. There's nothing fancy about this. So I'm gonna move all this stuff to get you guys a beautiful clear look. Gonna add it right on the bottom. We're gonna press down. We're gonna bring our scissors. We're gonna flip this over, and then we're just gonna trim. And at this point, you can embellish. I'm gonna let this be. I feel like this is so pretty, super bright, yet it was simple. And it just added a whole bunch of different elements that we DIY'd and self-created ourselves. Okay guys, this is Crystal Thompson with a Unity Stamp Company project. Be sure to click like, and if you liked it, click subscribe so you get more notifications on videos like this. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.